Steam billowed from under the bathroom door as I stood frozen in my hallway, keys still dangling from my trembling fingers. The sound of running water and soft humming confirmed my worst fear: someone was in my house. Not just in my house, but using my shower. As a single dad raising my 8-year-old daughter alone for the past 3 years, this was the last thing I needed. If you've ever experienced that heart-stopping moment when something is deeply wrong in your own home, hit that like button. And if you want more stories about how life can change in an instant, subscribe to the channel now. I gripped my phone, thumb hovering over the emergency call button, when I heard the water shut off. What happened next would alter the course of my life forever. My name is Daniel Reeves. 3 years ago, my wife Eliza died in a car accident, leaving me to raise our daughter Sophie alone. We'd been getting by, not thriving, but surviving, in our modest 2-bedroom house in the suburbs of Portland. I worked remotely as a software developer while juggling Sophie's school schedule, doctor appointments, and the endless tasks of single parenthood. That Thursday started like any other. I dropped Sophie at school, promising to pick her up from her friend Lily's house after their playdate. I had a deadline for work, so I planned to use those precious hours of solitude to focus. But around noon, my sister Jen called. "Daniel, I need a favor," she said, her voice tight with stress. "Mom fell and they're taking her to Providence Hospital. Can you meet us there?" The next few hours passed in a blur of hospital corridors, concerned doctors, and my mother's pale face against white sheets. A broken hip, not life-threatening, but serious at her age. By the time we sorted out her care plan, it was nearly 5 p.m., and I realized with a jolt that I was late to pick up Sophie. I called Lily's mom, apologizing profusely and explaining the situation. She was understanding, offering to keep Sophie for dinner and saying I could pick her up by 7 p.m. Grateful for the kindness of other parents, something I'd come to rely on, I headed home to shower and change before collecting my daughter. That's when I found the stranger in my bathroom. Standing in my hallway, I considered my options. Call the police? Confront the intruder? Flee? Before I could decide, the bathroom door opened, releasing a cloud of steam. A woman stepped out wrapped in my towel, her dark hair dripping onto her shoulders. She was perhaps in her early 30s, with olive skin and startled brown eyes that widened when she saw me. For a moment, we both stood frozen, staring at each other in mutual shock. "Who are you?" I finally managed to ask, my voice hoarse. She clutched the towel tighter. "I'm Maya." "I'm so sorry, I can explain." "You'd better," I said, keeping my distance but blocking her path to the front door. "I'm calling the police." "Please," she said, raising her hands. "I'm not a criminal. I was homeless. Your garden hose was running, and your back door was unlocked. I just wanted to clean up. I haven't had a proper shower in weeks." I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. Her eyes were clear, her expression genuinely remorseful. Despite my anger and fear, something about her seemed broken, not threatening. "Why my house?" I asked. "I've been sleeping in the park 2 blocks over. I saw you leave this morning with your daughter. Most houses in this neighborhood have security systems, but I noticed yours doesn't." She looked down. I was desperate. "I'm sorry." The mention of Sophie sent a chill through me. This woman had been watching us. "How do you know about my daughter?" "I've seen you two around the neighborhood. She wears a purple backpack with butterflies. You always hold her hand at the crosswalk." Maya's voice softened. "You seem like a good dad." I didn't know whether to be touched or terrified by her observation. "Where are your clothes?" "In your dryer." "I hope that's okay." They were filthy. The absurdity of the situation hit me. A homeless woman had broken into my house, used my shower, and was now doing laundry. I should have been furious, but something in her demeanor, a dignity despite her circumstances, made it hard to maintain my anger. "Get dressed," I said firmly. "Then we need to talk." While Maya changed in the bathroom, I checked the house to make sure nothing was missing. Everything seemed in order. When she emerged wearing clean but worn jeans and a faded blue sweater, she looked like any other woman you might pass on the street, not someone living rough. "I didn't take anything," she said, reading my thoughts. "I'm not a thief. Just someone who breaks into houses." She winced. "Fair point." We sat at my kitchen table, an awkward silence between us. Up close, I could see the toll that homelessness had taken, the slight hollowness in her cheeks, the chapped lips, the wariness in her eyes. "Why are you homeless?" I asked bluntly. Maya sighed. "The short version? I lost my job as a graphic designer when my company downsized. Couldn't make rent. My parents are dead, and I don't have siblings. I stayed with friends until I wore out my welcome. The shelters are often full or unsafe. So here I am. No other family? No one to help?" She shook her head. "I was in foster care most of my childhood. Never got adopted. Aged out of the system." Her story hit me harder than I expected. Before Eliza died, we'd talked about becoming foster parents someday. The thought of Maya growing up without a permanent family, then facing the world alone, stirred something in me. "When did you last eat?" I asked, noticing how she kept glancing at the fruit bowl on my counter. "Yesterday. Some leftovers from a restaurant dumpster." She said it matter-of-factly, without self-pity. I pushed the fruit bowl toward her. "Help yourself." As Maya ate an apple with careful, measured bites, I checked the time. I needed to pick up Sophie soon, but I couldn't just send this woman back to the streets. Yet I couldn't leave her in my house either. "Look," I said finally. "What you did was wrong. I could press charges for breaking and entering." She nodded, accepting this. "But I'm not going to," I continued. "Instead, I'm going to help you find a shelter for tonight. And tomorrow, we can talk about more permanent solutions." Maya looked up, surprise and wariness battling in her expression. "Why would you help me? I broke into your house." It was a fair question. Why was I, a cautious single father, offering to help a stranger who had violated my home? The answer came from a place I hadn't accessed in a long time, the part of me that existed before grief and single parenthood had narrowed my world. "Because everyone deserves a second chance," I said. "And because my daughter is watching everything I do, even when she's not here. I want to teach her compassion, not fear." That night changed everything. I found Maya a spot at a women's shelter, gave her my phone number, and told her to call me the next day. I wasn't sure she would, but something told me this strange encounter wasn't over. When I picked up Sophie from her playdate, she chattered about her day, oblivious to the fact that our lives had just taken an unexpected turn. As I tucked her into bed that night, I wondered if I was being naive or foolish. But the image of Maya's dignified gratitude stayed with me. The next morning, she called. We met at a coffee shop, where I learned more about her story. Maya had been a successful graphic designer until her company's major client pulled out. The layoffs came without warning, and in an expensive city with no safety net, she'd quickly spiraled into homelessness. She'd been living on the streets for 3 months, trying to find work but facing the catch-22 of needing an address to get a job and needing a job to afford an address. "I have a proposition," I said after hearing her out. "I need help with Sophie after school. The babysitters I've hired keep quitting because my work schedule is unpredictable. If you're willing to watch her for a few hours each afternoon, I can offer you our spare room and meals." Maya stared at me. "You trust me with your daughter? After how we met?" "Not immediately," I clarified. "You'd need to get a background check. And we'd have a trial period where I work from home to supervise. But yes, eventually." Why? She asked again. I thought about it. Because I need help, and you need a chance. And because I've learned to trust my instincts since becoming a single parent. That was the beginning. The background check came back clean. Sophie, initially shy around our new house guest, quickly warmed to Maya's gentle nature and creative spirit. Within weeks, they were drawing together, making up stories, and baking cookies that sometimes turned out well and sometimes didn't. Maya proved to be reliable, kind, and surprisingly good with an 8-year-old's endless questions. In the evenings, after Sophie went to bed, we'd sometimes talk about our lives. I told her about Eliza, about the grief that still ambushed me at unexpected moments. She told me about growing up in the foster system, about her dreams of starting her own design business someday. Slowly, our arrangement evolved. Maya started helping with more than just childcare. She fixed things around the house that I'd been neglecting, organized Sophie's chaotic room, and even planted a vegetable garden in our backyard. I helped her create a portfolio website and connected her with some of my tech industry contacts. 3 months after she'd broken into my house, Maya landed her first freelance design project. 6 months in, she had enough clients to contribute to household expenses. A year later, she was renting the spare room officially, no longer as a charity case but as a housemate and friend. And somewhere along the way, I realized I was smiling more. Laughing more. The weight of solo parenting felt lighter with Maya sharing the load. Sophie was thriving with another caring adult in her life. Our little family of 2 had somehow become 3. It wasn't always smooth. We had arguments about household rules, parenting approaches, and boundaries. There were times when Maya's independence clashed with my protective nature. There were moments when I wondered if I'd made a mistake letting a stranger into our lives so completely. But there were also movie nights with the 3 of us piled on the couch, Sunday morning pancake competitions, and the sound of Sophie's laughter filling a house that had been too quiet for too long. On the anniversary of our strange first meeting, I found Maya in the backyard, harvesting tomatoes from the garden she'd created. "Happy break-in anniversary," I said, handing her a small gift box. She laughed, wiping her hands on her jeans before taking it. "You're never going to let me live that down, are you?" "Never," I agreed. "Open it." Inside was a key on a butterfly keychain, matching the one Sophie and I had. "You already have a key," she said, confused. "This isn't a house key," I explained. "It's a symbol. You're not a guest anymore, Maya. You're family. Whatever happens between us, whether we stay friends or become something more, you belong here. With us." Tears filled her eyes as she closed her fingers around the key. "I never thought I'd have a family again." "Well, you do now," I said. "A slightly unconventional one, but still." That night, after Sophie was asleep, Maya and I sat on the porch swing, watching the stars emerge. Her hand found mine in the darkness. "Thank you for not calling the police that day," she whispered. "Thank you for breaking into my house," I replied, and we both laughed at the absurdity of it. Life takes unexpected turns. Sometimes the worst moments, a mother's fall, being late to pick up your child, finding a stranger in your bathroom, lead to the best outcomes. Sometimes second chances come in strange packages. And sometimes family is found in the most unlikely circumstances. If there's a lesson in our story, it's this: compassion is risky, but its rewards can be immeasurable. Trust your instincts. Open your heart, even when it's scary. The stranger in your bathroom might just be the person who helps you rebuild your life. As Maya leaned her head on my shoulder, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together: the single dad, the daughter with the butterfly backpack, and the woman who came into our lives through an unlocked back door and stayed because she found what we all seek: a place to belong. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more tales of unexpected connections and second chances. Remember that kindness can transform lives, both for those who receive it and those who give it.